into those packets. There's some fennel, but you know what? I didn't throw it in there. It's all sliced up and ready to go. So I'm going to throw some of it right into the soup. Fennel, if you've never had it, has a licorice sort of taste to it. So you've got to decide if that's something that you like. You may have had that flavoring as anise, A-N-I-S-E. If you buy that dried, that is also fennel. So I'm just going to put some of that in there, and I'll save the rest. Maybe you can steam it up, or you can go ahead and saute that. So lots of great things here. And then I'm going to start to throw in my greens. I've got a little zucchini left here, so it's going to go right in. And I'm just going to chop that up. And maybe cut these in half. And I'll see if it's not enough, I have another whole zucchini that I can throw in. So even here with my recipe book, I'm improvising. You can, if you're new to cooking, just follow the recipe. That's going to be easiest for you. And then soon you'll figure out what taste you like, what you don't like, and you'll be able to also just go from whatever's in your kitchen. All right, so we've got those things. Now, the other thing that's going in, what's going to make it green, right? It's green jade soup. Well, we're going to use some greens. So we've got some Chinese cabbage here. You could use bok choy if you prefer. And for the Chinese cabbage, we're going to use about 2 cups. And you see my measuring, because if you've seen my show before, you know I don't do a whole lot of measuring. So I'm just going to eye it out. This is probably going to be a little more than 2 cups. But I'm just going to chop that up. And you can decide how big or small you like this. Remember, it's in a soup, and you're going to be eating it with a spoon. So do you want a big, long leaf in there, or would you prefer to cut it up like this? You have to decide. Right, so I'm going to chop that up and then just throw it right in. Just want to make sure I don't get those garlic skins in there. So here we go. Throw it in there. And so this is why I end up adding liquid, because if you can see, this pot is getting pretty full, and we're not even done yet. So we're going to throw all of that in, and then we'll just give it a little stir so that the greens can start to break down, they can start to wilt in here and take on some of the flavorings that we've put in. Now the great thing about grabbing an organic low sodium broth is that you don't have to do anything else. You don't have to make the broth on your own. It's ready to go. So I try to have that in home so that when we want to make soups, which is pretty often in the winter, and now this is going to be a lovely spring soup, we're ready to go. All right, now that's part of the greens. We've got that down. I've also got mixed kale and spinach. And these again are local. Yes, you're going to save a couple bucks if you buy it and wash it yourself. So you can absolutely do that if you'd like to. I know for time saving, and time is money, I really enjoy getting it this way and being able to just chop it up and throw it in. So I'm just going to do some big chops again. Watch your fingers. These knives are really, really sharp, and if you have a dull knife, actually, it's going to be, it actually is a little worse cut for you there. So just be very mindful of that. So throwing in that spinach, another cup to 2 cups of spinach. And then I've got this mixed kale. So this is great. This is all different kinds of kale. So there's curly kale. Maybe you've seen that kind of kale before. I don't see the Jacinto kale in here, but that's okay. And we're just going to chop this up. Now the neat thing is that everything's going to soften up. It's very fibrous, but it'll soften up so you can even throw the stems right in there. It's no problem. All right. Whoop. And keep everything on that cutting board. Try not to let any greens escape to the floor. And then we're going to throw that in. So we're getting really full here of greens. The greens are going to cook down though. So you're not going to have an issue once they cook down. But this is why I use a stock pot, and I'm probably going to add a little more liquid as it starts to boil. You can see this huge vat of deliciousness. And although we've got lots of different greens in here, it's different shades of green. Now there's another couple of ingredients that you can throw into this soup, and they're optional depending on your dietary needs and your preferences. So this is looking great. I think I'll leave it for now. So we are going to throw in today some tofu. Now, again, if you're in the beginning stages of healing your gut, you probably aren't going to have the tofu, have the fermented foods. But as you're healing, you can do that more and more. And some people just can't do soy. You may have a soy allergy. You may be concerned about the effects of soy on your body. Again, this is local tofu. I bought it in bulk. It's a great way to go because you know that it's sourced locally. You could find out who made that, and if you had questions, you can get to your local farmers. So shopping local is a great idea. It's not as costly as you think. If you look at what you're eating each day, what you're buying, what you're spending, and then are you having any medical issues as a result, all of that has to be factored in. So if you can eat fruits and veggies, lots of them, eat a plant-based diet, and we're obviously doing fish today, you can not only fit it into your budget, but it's going to be great for your health. So I'm just cutting these into probably a little less than an inch squares. And it's so easy to cut. Now tofu usually comes in water, and we're gonna put it back into water. So for this application, I'm not taking the time to press the water out of the tofu. When you are making a different dish with tofu, you may want to do that depending on if you're baking it or sauteing it. But for this application, all we need to do is scoop it up and throw it in. So let's see what else we've got. Great. And we'll mix that around again. And you could do 3/4 of a pound of tofu. It's usually one cake. I picked up a couple because when you buy it in bulk, it's not exact like when you buy it pre-packaged. So remember, anything processed pre-packaged is not going to be as good for you as fresh stuff, but don't let that deter you. If you have to buy frozen veggies, that's going to get your veggies into you. Guess what? Do it. All right. Let's see, I'm tempted to put more tofu in, but I don't want to overdo it. There's already low sodium here, so what I would do is allow my folks that are going to eat this soup to decide if they want to add any more sea salt in. So I usually do that after the fact. You want to really watch your salt intake. That's why I went for the low sodium. Now, if you said, I don't want tofu, I'd rather have something else, you could do cannellini beans, white beans. It's always a great idea to go organic. You're not going to have the pesticides in those products that are organic. If you can eat other kinds of beans, you could choose garbanzo beans or black beans. I know for my own gut health, white beans work for me, so you see what works for you. So now I'm going to squeeze a little lemon in here. So you see the flavorings for both of our dishes today are going to complement one another. So I'm just taking another half of a lemon. I'm sort of watching for those seeds. And if you do drop something in there, just make sure you let your family or friends know, whoever's going to be eating your dish, that they might come across something like that. But this looks pretty good. All right. So we'll give it another stir. This is going to be delicious. Great, and we can almost check on the fish. And I'm just going to put the top on here and let this cook for a bit. Now, soups are great. You can eat them as soon as they're ready. Technically, we could eat that right now. Tomorrow, that's going to taste even better. So the more that it sits, the seasonings meld together, the flavorings marry, and it really brings out a terrific flavor. So make sure you make enough so that you can have some left over. We've been making soups, but everyone loves them so much that there's rarely anything left. So do what works for you. We have some scallions here, and this is going to be a great garnish. So I'm just going to chop this up. And when we serve our soup, we're just going to sprinkle a little bit of the scallions right on top. Right, so that is a green onion or a young onion. So lots of oniony flavors with the leeks and the scallions today. And we've got another couple scallions here if we need them. So we'll go ahead and chop this one, and then we'll check on that fish. So again, always paying attention when you've got a knife in your hands. My kids get tired of me saying it because they are safe. They've been using knives since they were like 3. But it's a sharp knife, so you got to watch it. All right. And so that's going to be set aside for the garnish. And we can even take that into a little dish. Now, if you wanted to add parsley or cilantro, that's another great garnish, and it brings a lovely flavoring to whatever you're using there. So I'm going to go ahead and just look in the oven and see what's going on with the fish. So you're going to want a fork, and when you are checking your fish, you want it to be flaky. So be very careful when you grab it, but the nice thing about this is you can reach in and grab the top of the foil, and even though it's hot, you're not going to burn yourself there. So we're going to open this up. Oh, and look at that nice steam. Oh, what a convection oven is fabulous. This is pretty much done. It could maybe take another moment, but we're pretty much done. So I'm just going to stick it back in there for another minute or 2, and then we'll get this plated up for you, and you'll see how delicious that is, how delicious it looks, right? Then you're going to make it at home. So let's get this out of the way so that I can plate this up for you. All righty. And we've got a great dishes ready for us here. So let's take some of the soup, and again, the soup's not been cooking really long. The longer it stays in here, the better the flavors are going to meld and marry. So just make sure you stir it up. And if you can see this big vat of deliciousness, it really looks fabulous. And we're just going to take that and put it right in. Now you decide, do you want more broth? Do you want more veggies? I love the veggies. Okay. And then you can put that cover back on and continue to let it cook. So we've got this here, and we'll take a little bit of scallions and just sprinkle it on top. Great. And then let's go ahead and we'll check our fish. And we'll grab that, and we'll be able to plate that up for you as well. Now you can get fancy with your plating. I've got some kale left over, so that might be a nice just bed for your fish, right? So you can certainly eat kale raw. So we'll do that. There's some spinach as well. Turn our oven off. I think I've got this set for 1 day and 1 hour. We're going to be cooking all day. Now remember, it's still going to be hot. I'm going to leave that so that the oven can begin to cool. And you're probably still going to want to grab a spatula, but remember that your fish is going to be super hot, and it's on foil, can rip easily. So you can see that beautiful steam, and that's from the lemon and the coconut aminos. And I'm going to gently get underneath. Now, if the fish skin is sticking to the foil, you can always scoot your spatula right underneath the skin and just lift up the fish. So here we go. Set that one aside. And we'll get this out of the way, and we've got the soup, and we'll do a little bit of garnish here. And then one other lovely addition that we'll finish off with on the side is a carrot ginger dressing. Now, this I made myself. All it is carrots in a food processor with ginger, garlic, and coconut aminos. That's it. So I'm just going to put that on the side so that if the person eating this or myself, I want to put a little bit of that on each bite, I'd be able to go ahead and do that. And there you have it. You have a beautiful lunch or dinner. It is really fabulous. Your green jade soup with a little more color, and then your fish, and now it's no longer in the packet for you, with your carrot ginger dressing and a little bit of kale. So I hope that you go out, get these ingredients, make a fabulous meal, and enjoy your spring. Thank you so much for tuning in today, and have a great rest of your day.